Hello, it is another book talk after a while. I actually filmed a first book talk about Earthlings, but I forgot I skipped a book. And I wanted to discuss In Patagonia. Yeah. Okay, so In Patagonia is a book by Bruce Chatwin. At first, I literally thought this was a fictionalized book because it was written so much like a story and it just felt unreal. I don't know, the writing just made it feel like fiction. But no, it is actually it is a nonfiction travel journal that the author himself wrote when he went to visit Patagonia. And so I'm going to quickly just shuffle through the pros and cons of this book. So pro, I really did like the writing. The writing was very interesting, honestly. And I feel like, he really knows his history about the place, and more so than I've ever learned, because I've never really seen books about Patagonia other than like explicitly travel books. And I feel like, and I'm talking about like history books, and I feel like I'm going to have to buy like one of those travel books if I want to learn anything. So I thought this was very interesting in that retrospect. And in general, that was the biggest pro of this. However, that is my only pro. I think I gave this like 3 stars or 2 stars. I don't know. The cons for me at least, is that since there's so much information that he's like historical information that he's going through, it just feels like he's going through one after the other, after the other, after the other. Like it's not something that it like builds on, or even if it is supposed to be something that like he builds on, it's very, I don't know, it's just very fast for me at least. And I just felt like it was just again and again and again, like there was this one thing, there was this other thing, and it wasn't kind of like something that he was building on, where it just felt like he kind of just started up out of nowhere for each chapter or whatever. So which that wasn't really a favorite of mine. And another thing was that, with this, Patagonia being kind of like an area of land between 2 countries and mostly known for its natural, beauty, I expected a lot more information about indigenous populations, which isn't necessarily like a con of the book, but it's just like, it just talked about the people who came over from Europe, and, and which was interesting because I didn't realize there was much of that diversity in Patagonia, where people came from Europe and Ireland and other areas. So I did think it was interesting, but it was kind of a shame that he didn't really talk too much. Like there's a little bit of information, but too much wasn't about the indigenous populations, because also like Patagonia, again, it's a natural landscape. It's known for its natural beauty. It's not a city or anything. It's the land. So I was very also interested in learning like who inhabited the land, who, first and foremost, in their history and stuff like that as well. And, it just didn't really touch on that too much, which I didn't really like, because I really wanted to know, it's cool to know about the history, but I would like to know the origins if it was possible. If it wasn't possible, it'd be cool. It would be, apt if he mentioned, oh, well, there wasn't much information, or at least I don't have much information, but that was not the case. So yeah, that is my short and sweet review on In Patagonia. And honestly, I think nonetheless, I'm glad I read this book, even though in some of the parts, it was so much information and sometimes it felt so slow, honestly. Still, I'm glad I read it, because like a lot of times, when you're in a certain country, now I don't know about other countries, but at least as somebody who's went through the American K through 12 system, our readings are very Eurocentric, unless you're lucky enough to have a high school that has a world literature class, or you go to college and you study literature and you have to take world literature. Unless you're in those situations, it's very, you were kind of bombarded with Eurocentric literature, whether it's from Britain, UK, or whatever. And usually mostly it's from Britain, or it's American literature, or it's like literature from Americas when it was first colonized and stuff. So there's not much you don't get that much insight, you know. And I feel like it's interesting, and even though this was written by a British man, so still, you know, it's on a land that I don't know, and it gives me some sort of insight into it. Yes, it is through the insight of the author, so it is a little bit biased, but it makes me interested to learn more about, you know, the origins of Patagonia, like how it came to be Patagonia. And, you know, it's one of the reasons why I bought this book, because, like, I really want to venture out into more diverse literature, because that's what I like about reading different books and also watching different movies, is because the perspectives that people have are not the same at all, you know. And it's interesting to look at things through different perspectives. But yeah, that is my short but sweet, I don't know why I did that, book review. Thanks for watching.